Late one night, a TikTok user named Berlin received a video call from a friend who was making her way home alone through a narrow, poorly lit alleyway. Her friend mentioned she was almost at her door, but she couldn't shake a terrifying feeling that someone was behind her. The alley appeared completely clear at first glance, but as Berlin peered closely at her screen, she caught sight of something lurking in the darkness, something her friend had no idea was there.
Gue udah mau sampai, tapi gue nggak tahu gue masih kayak ada yang ngikutin gue.
Hah, kenapa sih?
Nggak tahu. Sumpah gue udah biasa lewat gang sini.
Ya, lari ya, lari ya, sumpah lari. Sumpah, lari.
Standing just a few steps back from the unsuspecting woman is a towering figure wrapped head to toe in white cloth. The fabric looks tightly wound around its head and body, bearing a striking resemblance to a pokong, the vengeful spirit of a deceased person bound within its burial shroud. The entity follows silently as the woman walks on, completely oblivious to its presence. Overcome with panic, Berlin shouts at her to run, and the phone goes tumbling into darkness as her friend bolts away. The footage ends before we find out whether she reached safety. Now, while someone in a white sheet could have staged the whole thing, if this footage is real, Berlin watched a burial shroud-bound spirit hunting her friend in live time. So was this an elaborate prank, or a genuinely terrifying live glimpse of a pokong closing in on its victim? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This next clip was sent in by a viewer named Ariane B, who explains that she filmed this during a school field trip to the Philippines. The footage dates back to 2010, so as you might expect, the resolution leaves a lot to be desired. But even with a budget cell phone as the recording device, she managed to catch something clearly visible on camera, and what she picked up is genuinely unsettling. She tells us she was on a guided tour of an old fortress where countless soldiers had met their end. That fortress is Fort Mills, and the specific area Ariane was walking through at the time is called Battery Grubs, a section where both Filipino and American soldiers gave their lives defending against an enemy invasion back in 1942. It was right there in Battery Grubs that she recorded this. Now, 15 years have passed since this was shot, and Ariane didn't actually notice what was in the footage until she went back and watched it again recently. Up on the top level of the barracks, something appears to be in motion, but it doesn't resemble a tourist casually passing through. Instead, it looks like a fleeting blur that vanishes almost immediately. Now, given how poor the camera quality is, there is a reasonable argument that this could simply be a visual artifact, essentially a glitch in the recording. But here's the thing, this anomaly shows up exactly once in the entire clip. It never repeats, and nothing remotely similar appears anywhere else in the footage, which makes it harder to chalk up to a malfunctioning camera. Ariane's own belief is that this blur is the spirit of one of the soldiers who died fighting here, perhaps still reliving the very events that unfolded in 1942, with no awareness that they've long since passed on. It's a haunting idea, and one that clearly gets under Ariane's skin. So the question remains, what exactly was lurking inside the walls of this historic fort? A man named Antonio runs a construction, rental, and wholesale business out of Mazamitla, Mexico. Late one evening, he stopped by a woodland cabin he was renovating and preparing to put on the market, something he did periodically just to check on the state of the property. That's when he spotted one of the lights on the upper floor flickering from outside, so he took out his phone to document it, assuming it was an electrical problem he'd need to address. What he saw next stopped him cold. As he watched the light pulse on and off, a pale, unsettling figure crept slowly into frame at the window, appearing to stare directly back at him. Even when the light flared and briefly illuminated the room, the shape remained dark and impossible to make out clearly. What made it even more disturbing was that Antonio was completely alone out there, Nobody should have been anywhere near that cabin, much less inside it. He made the decision to head in and investigate with his own eyes. Here's the footage he recorded. Shaken but determined, Antonio swept through every room of the cabin. As far as he could tell, the place was empty. He still has no explanation for what he saw that night. And, worth mentioning, his social media presence is purely professional, used only to showcase properties and renovation projects. So the question remains, what exactly was lurking in that window? A woman stumbled into a police station in Trstenik, a small Serbian town, visibly shaken. She claimed something had been trailing her at the local fair, leaping between streetlights through the darkness. She gave her statement and walked out. Shortly after, whatever she'd encountered showed up on the station's own surveillance system. One of the officers was monitoring the CCTV feed when movement caught his eye at the far end of a darkened corridor inside the building. He moved closer to the screen, waved his colleagues over, and together they watched a shape begin to materialize in a hallway every one of them knew was completely unoccupied. It's pale, almost white, faintly translucent, like a human silhouette sketched in light and never quite completed. It peels away from the wall and drifts across the floor. And here's the detail that really sticks with you. There's no walking involved, no footsteps, no legs, nothing like that. It simply floats toward the center of the corridor before retreating back into the darkness.
To mi žena jedna tako pričala da nju pratila kad išli na vašar. Ja sam se zabavao. Kao Dragoš ide po banderama i ide za njim.
The entire room has gathered around that monitor, and someone says it out loud, that this must be the same thing the woman described. So they head down to check the hallway themselves. Nothing there. Completely empty. Whatever it was had vanished in the time it took them to walk over. This footage was captured by a group of people who say they still get goosebumps whenever the memory crosses their minds. It's the middle of the night, and we're riding along with the occupants of a vehicle making their way down a quiet, isolated road lined with homes scattered far from one another. Only a few seconds into the recording, they stumble upon something they never could have anticipated.
No, ahí va como no drogado, no sé. Este te buena. Ay, no.
As the passenger turns to look back, we can make out what seems to be a mysterious female figure dressed in a long white gown, standing completely motionless right in the center of the road. This supposed woman doesn't move an inch, frozen in place as the driver and passenger try to wrap their heads around what they're seeing. What could a woman dressed like that possibly be doing out there, alone, at that hour? While digging into this one, I found that this road sits in a fairly remote neighborhood in Chile, in a region where multiple locals have reported encountering something similar, with many attributing the sighting to an entity known as La Llorona, a figure rooted in popular folklore who, according to legend, is the spirit of a weeping woman said to roam the night. In the comments section beneath the video, two theories dominated the conversation. The first is that this could simply be a lost woman standing in the road, possibly someone who was in distress and needed assistance. The second is that these individuals may have genuinely filmed an appearance of this supernatural entity. Personally, both explanations strike me as equally unsettling, but as always, I'll leave the final call entirely up to you. Security or dashcam recording has been circulating online after apparently capturing a man walking along a road who simply ceases to exist mid-stride, vanishing completely from the frame with no discernible explanation for where he could have gone. The clip opens without any sign of anything unusual, just a man making his way steadily down the road, the kind of thing you'd see any day of the week. Nothing in his gait or body language hints at what's about to happen. Then, in the span of a single frame, he's no longer there. No stumble, no sudden shift to one side, no gap in the road or nearby structure that might explain him stepping out of sight. 1 second he's moving along normally, and the next the spot where he stood is entirely vacant. So what makes this footage so hard to write off? It's the complete absence of any obvious mechanism. There's no shadow, no dip in the terrain that could cause him to drop suddenly below the frame, and no passing vehicle or object that could have obscured him even briefly before he turned up somewhere else. The road stays still and undisturbed right after, with nothing to suggest he simply walked out of the shot on his own. People who've gone over the footage frame by frame have been split on what it actually shows, some arguing it must be a camera malfunction or a dropped frame, while others are convinced the figure himself wasn't an ordinary person to begin with, but rather some kind of presence or entity that only resembled a human being right up until the moment it was gone. The clip has never been explained. No one has identified who the man was, where he went, or how a person can simply cease to exist mid-step on an open road with nowhere to disappear to. If you're still with us, take a moment to consider everything you've seen up to this point. None of these clips come with easy answers. Some were picked up by security cameras, others were filmed by everyday people who had no idea they were about to record something that would leave millions of viewers questioning what they were looking at. If you're enjoying this countdown, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because we're only halfway through and what's still to come gets considerably stranger than anything covered so far. The strange event was recorded by a mosque security camera at around midnight. Initially, the surrounding area seemed completely quiet and undisturbed. Then, locals started noticing the sound of a woman's voice singing through the mosque's public address system. The voice came through with remarkable clarity, and at certain moments it almost had the quality of a karaoke performance. Wanting to understand where the sound was originating, a group of residents made their way to the mosque to look into it. But when they arrived and searched the premises, not a single person was found near or operating the loudspeakers, and nobody else was discovered anywhere on the grounds. Even so, the singing continued, which only deepened the mystery surrounding the whole situation. The clip eventually spread across the internet and gave rise to all kinds of theories, with some people suggesting that something out of the ordinary might have been behind it. From a more grounded standpoint though, the audio could potentially be explained by radio frequency interference or by an audio system inadvertently picking up a signal from a nearby location where karaoke was being sung. So as eerie as the whole thing appears, a rational technical explanation can't be ruled out, and there's nothing concrete to suggest the paranormal was involved. Next up, we have a Reddit post from a user going by ConquerLive30, documenting how life at a fire station can carry risks that go well beyond fighting flames.
Jesus Christ. The fuck, everything's going all fucking haywire. We got alarms going off, fucking Ryan's out on fucking patrol.
A large number of viewers who've watched this footage are convinced they're seeing something that can only be explained as paranormal. The video appears to have been shot on a smartphone and drops us straight into a scene of total disorder. Equipment is humming, alarms are sounding off, and the person behind the camera sounds bewildered and panicked as everything around them seems to fail simultaneously.
I think there's a fucking poltergeist or some shit in here. Oh, fuck that! Oh, no, fuck this. Holy shit! No fucking way did that just fucking happen. Fucking no fucking way. No.
As the clip goes on, a solid wooden door suddenly swings shut with no one near it. What makes this particularly chilling is that the door has no connection to the station's electrical system whatsoever, which points towards something far stranger being responsible. The person filming grows visibly more terrified and starts throwing out the idea that a poltergeist. Months after settling into an older apartment with 2 roommates, a Reddit user began noticing something wasn't quite right around the place. Posters, photos, and anything else mounted on the walls kept tumbling down without any obvious cause. They tried to shrug it off at first, but as it continued happening over and over, the unease started to build. Then, one evening, while home by herself, she pulled out her phone and recorded something that made the whole situation a lot harder to dismiss. A picture frame on the wall starts swaying on its own, rocking back and forth with nothing touching it. Then, just seconds later, the desk chair slowly rotates until it's facing directly toward her. The recording ends abruptly because the fear gets to be too much. She bolts out of the room and waits in the kitchen until her roommates get back. After she shared the footage on Reddit, some commenters offered a rational explanation. They noticed the air vent positioned above the picture and suggested that airflow from the heating system might be causing the frame to move. She mentioned that her heater typically kicks on around 4 p.m. So the following day, she set up her camera just before that time to put the theory to the test.
This is our vent test. We have about a minute until the heat's supposed to cycle on. We're gonna see if that does anything to move the picture frame. The heat did not come on yet.
While she's waiting for the heat to come on, a loud bang suddenly echoes from outside the door. She goes to check and discovers a shoe has somehow tumbled down the staircase. Then a second bang rings out from inside the apartment. She rushes back in to find the picture frame has come completely off the wall. So was the vent behind all of this, or did her little experiment only raise more questions? Either way, this apartment doesn't seem particularly interested in giving up its secrets. On May 30th, 2026, an Uber Eats driver was out on a delivery run when he pulled up to the address and quickly discovered that both the front and rear of the property were completely sealed off, leaving him no way to get to the door. So he set the order down by the front gate, slipped around the corner, and decided to hang back and see what would unfold.
अब क्या किया जाए, कुछ समझ से बाहर है। क्या करूं, मैं घर के पास जाऊं? What?
He glanced away toward his bike for just a moment, but when he looked back, the bag had completely vanished, and there wasn't a single person in sight. Puzzled, he heads back to the gate, now convinced that something on the other side had taken it.
Yeah, I saw you just pick up the bag from here. I know you exist, and I know you are living here. I'm here just to talk to you, not to harm you. Can you give me any sign so I know that you're here, or any other type of...
The property is supposed to be empty, and as far as he's concerned, whatever placed that order might already be staring right back at him. Drop a comment and let me know your location. There's a guy in France who goes by the username Pequinho. His channel is all comedy sketches and everyday vlogs. Nothing remotely paranormal in sight. But one evening, he heads out for a walk, passes the outdoor gym near his neighborhood, and something catches his eye that makes him pull out his phone and start recording.
That video where there was a thing working out by itself, I came back to the exact same spot. I swear, I'm all alone. I swear, look guys. I swear, I'm not even stopping this now. Look, there's more than one of them. I'm not stopping this now. I swear, I'm not stopping this now. I swear, I'm not stopping this now. I'm not even getting close. I'm interrupting the workout. But I swear, guys, bro. I'm not even bothering them. For all I know, one of them is doing bench presses here. I swear, look. I swear, guys, never go out at night. I swear, never go out at night.
Every single piece of equipment in that gym is in motion, and what really matters is how it's moving. Each machine is keeping a steady, rhythmic pace, the kind you'd only see if someone were actually using it, not the kind of gradual slowdown you'd get if someone gave it a shove and then hit record. Now, people have called this a setup, and honestly, that's not an unreasonable thing to question, because with most of those machines, you could probably get them going with a push and start filming before they stop. Fair enough, but pay close attention to the lat pull-down machine.
That video where there was a thing working out by itself, I came back to the exact same spot. I swear, I'm all alone. I swear, look guys. I swear, I'm not even stopping this now. Look, there's more than one of them. I'm not stopping this now. I swear, I'm not stopping this now. I swear, I'm not stopping this now. I'm not even getting close. I'm interrupting the workout. But I swear, guys, bro. I'm not even bothering them. For all I know, one of them is doing bench presses here. I swear, look. I swear, guys, never go out at night. I swear, never go out at night.
That's the one where you sit on a seat and pull a weighted bar down against your own body weight. You cannot get that thing cycling by just pushing it. The seat drops and kills the movement. It doesn't swing on its own, and there's no way to manually set it in motion and have it keep going the way it does here. For that machine to be moving like that, someone would have to be seated on it, actively pulling that bar down, and there is absolutely no one there. The young man had barely settled into his new home, just 1 week in, when something started to feel deeply off. In the beginning, it was subtle, odd sounds drifting through the hallways, unexplained noises breaking the silence late at night when everything should have been still. But it didn't end there. As the days continued, the events became impossible to brush aside. The disturbances escalated in both frequency and intensity, turning into something far more threatening than he ever could have anticipated when he first moved in. What had started out as an ordinary home gradually became a place saturated with dread, and with each night that passed, the atmosphere inside only seemed to get darker. After enduring weeks of strange and unexplained occurrences, the young man reached a breaking point and decided he had to capture it on camera. The sounds had become relentless, and by his account, things were deteriorating with every passing evening. He described waking up to find bruises and scratch marks covering his body, particularly around his neck and midsection. Whatever was going on inside that apartment no longer felt like something he could dismiss. So he and a group of friends installed security cameras in rooms throughout the home, hoping the footage would finally shed some light on what was taking place after dark. The cameras were configured to run around the clock, triggered by any detected motion. Every corner of the apartment was now under surveillance, and all they could do was wait to see what the recordings might expose. Nothing could have prepared them for what came next. Deep in the middle of the night, something appeared to seize the young man by the leg and yank him forcefully across the floor. There was no other person visible anywhere in the room, and no rational explanation for the sudden movement. The camera captured him being hauled violently as though some unseen force had locked onto him and dragged him through the darkness. One night, a group of friends sat around a table trying out a homemade spirit contact experiment. They laughed and joked as they hovered their hands around a glass sitting in the middle of the table. Then, after a few minutes, something none of them anticipated took place. See for yourself what unfolded.
Du hast dich so nur weil sie jetzt noch weiter gedreht und halt gesehen.
The glass started moving across the table with no one visibly pushing it. The room went quiet as it kept shifting in a way that defied easy explanation, and moments later things escalated further. The glass suddenly lurched upward and came crashing down onto the floor, shattering on impact. The friends recoiled immediately, visibly shaken. Whether this was an elaborate prank, a strange coincidence, or something else entirely, not one of them could offer a rational explanation for what had just happened, so Athena was enjoying a vacation at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a popular coastal destination recognized for its sandy shores, resort hotels, and golf courses. But when she uploaded an unsettling video she'd recorded from her hotel balcony, the spot quickly became, for a certain corner of the internet, the backdrop for something far more chilling.
Beautiful Myrtle Beach.
Did you catch that? Let's run through the footage one more time. The moment Athena swings her camera toward the glass door of her room, a child's face flickers into view from behind the curtains. Its expression is utterly vacant before it vanishes almost as quickly as it appeared. Then, right as the video wraps up, the camera itself seems to glitch in a deeply unsettling way. According to plenty of people familiar with the area, this kind of experience isn't all that unusual around Myrtle Beach. The region carries a rich history of local legends, among them the Gray Man, a ghostly figure believed to appear as a warning of approaching danger, and the Ghost of the Pelican Inn, along with countless other paranormal tales tied to the surrounding area. So is this footage nothing more than an elaborate setup, perhaps a child or even a doll deliberately placed behind those curtains? Or could one of Myrtle Beach's many ghost stories actually hold some truth? Honestly, we may never find out. Filipino taxi driver who goes by Jurek recently uploaded a chilling video to his Facebook page, and it quickly spread across the internet. While out driving his cab late at night, Jurek spotted a woman standing along the roadside ahead of him, signaling for a ride. What unfolded after that, though, was something truly horrifying. Judge for yourself what the camera recorded.
Diyos ko po. Wala. Multa tayo nasakay ko ah. Ay, shit. Ay. Wala. Wala. Multo yung nasakay ko. Diyos ko. May sumakay kanina. May sumakay kanina. May sumakay kanina, pero bakit nawala? Scout bar yung sabi. May sumakay kanina, wala.
You can clearly see the rear door swing open and then shut on its own. Yet the driver insists a woman in a long flowing dress climbed in and told him to take her to the Barrio neighborhood in the city. After covering a short distance, he glanced up at the rearview mirror and found the back seat completely empty. She had simply vanished. In that instant, panic overtook him and he spun around in disbelief, utterly shaken by what he had just experienced. Jurek maintained that none of this was a trick of the mind. He was absolutely convinced that the woman had physically opened that door and seated herself inside the vehicle. So here's the question. Was this a genuine encounter with a ghost, as so many viewers believe, or is there another way to explain what happened? Coming up next, we have some unsettling footage captured by a mother named Nicole, featuring her young son, Hendrix. What makes this clip so strange is that the little boy appears to be reacting to something completely invisible to everyone else. At the moment baby Hendrix pushes the door open, a chilling voice seems to hiss the word, "Yes." And without missing a beat, the boy slams the door shut right in the spirit's face and makes a hasty retreat. Now, some viewers who were both disturbed and entertained by the footage decided to throw in their own subtitles. And honestly, they fit surprisingly well. Judge for yourself. So, was that little boy picking up on the voice of something from the other side? And did he genuinely just shut down a ghost? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We've all experienced that unsettling moment where something flickers at the edge of our vision, and by the time we snap our heads around, there's absolutely nothing there. Most of the time, we shake it off, convince ourselves it was all in our heads. But the moment it gets recorded on video, denial becomes a lot harder, especially when an entire group of people witnesses the same thing. That's exactly what happened to a group of friends from the United States during a live stream session. Together, they all laid eyes on something none of them could make sense of. Something that had them seriously questioning whether what they'd just seen belonged to this world at all.
Nah, them trash bags. Who that is running through there like Usain Bolt? Hey, wait a minute. Go back to the street. Something on the line. Hey, man. Who that was running through there like Usain Bolt, man? Hell yeah. I thought I was tripping, dog. No, you wasn't tripping. They run through that like far as man. What the? What's that? Intruder alert. Intruder alert. It had to be paranormal. Was that somebody though? The hell who running that fast? What nigga you know that quick? Ain't nobody running that fast. What was it running from? You see no pit bull you run that quick from a pit bull. You see somebody on the street, go the other way. No, bro. Go the other way. I swear, yeah, that way.
The guy holding the camera catches something dart across the edge of his frame, but it's gone so fast, barely half a second, that he immediately writes it off as his imagination playing tricks. It's only when his friends completely lose it that he starts to think maybe he actually saw something real. One of them insists it had to be paranormal because nothing natural is capable of moving at that kind of speed. When the cameraman scans the area, there's no trace of anything. Once the stream wrapped up, he went back through the footage and played it in slow motion to get a proper look at what had actually occurred. What he found left him stunned. There appeared to be a pale figure sprinting down the road, but the strangest part wasn't even the figure itself. Moments later, it simply ceased to exist, disappearing completely into nothing. He tried to come up with a logical explanation at first, wondering if it might have been some kind of technical glitch with the camera. Then, he spotted something that complicated that theory entirely. As the figure moved along the road, you could actually see dust rising up from the ground, as though something had just blown past at tremendous speed. So, whether it was paranormal or not, whatever this thing was, it left a mark. Some paranormal stories have nothing to do with surveillance footage. They start with a child who swears there's someone else in the house. That's precisely what unfolded when Sharon Lewis, a single mother, relocated with her 3-year-old daughter to an old Victorian property in England. Shortly after settling in, the little girl kept describing a man with an unsettling gaze, and what she sensed were sinister intentions. She was convinced he kept showing up in the hallway.
Eyes. Bad eyes? Yeah. Bad eyes. Bad eyes? Yeah. Where?
Rather than dismiss what her daughter was telling her, Sharon set up a security camera pointed directly at the spot where this mysterious figure had allegedly been appearing. Then, one unremarkable evening while the two of them sat watching TV, Sharon glanced over toward the bathroom and immediately felt something was off. The bathroom door was wide open. She was sure she'd shut it earlier that same night. A creeping sense of dread came over her, so she picked up her phone and hit record. Moments later, something showed up on that footage that she still has no explanation for.
Yeah, come on now, bring it out. What is it? Dog. What? Yeah. Scared of what? Who is it? No. Is someone there? Yeah, bad eyes. 2 eyes. Bad 2 eyes. And bad. Hi. Hi. Okay. Yeah. Is he doing anything? What's he doing? Right, see you later, Mr. Soldier Man. What? Are you laughing at him? Is he being funny? Is he being funny? It's good, isn't it? You're still looking at someone. Oh my god. She's... What? Please don't. Stop. Hey, sorry, you just scared Mummy. Sorry, you just scared Mummy. It's not scary. It's not scary. He's a funny friend, isn't he? He's a funny friend.
Gripped by fear, Sharon instantly pulled her daughter close. At that very moment, a dark, shadowy shape swept across the bathroom doorway before vanishing almost as fast as it had appeared. Without pausing to look into it further, she scooped up her daughter and got out of the house. Desperate for answers, Sharon later dug into the history of the property and found it had been constructed on land tied to a battlefield dating back to 1485. Ever since that discovery, she's been left wondering whether her daughter had been glimpsing the ghost of a soldier who perished there hundreds of years ago, or whether something else entirely had been present in that house with them the whole time. So, what do you think Sharon's camera actually picked up? Videos you're about to see come from the Instagram account shown on your screen right now. That account belongs to Eric Anthony, an American actor, stuntman, and professional poker player. Not too long ago, Eric posted a series of clips from an Airbnb he'd rented while in the middle of a film project. He chose the place specifically because it sat close to his shooting location, making it an easy base of operations during production. But shortly after settling in, things started feeling off, and most of the weird activity seemed to be coming from the cellar.
Waiting here all day, nothing's happened. It seems to be chill, but I don't know. Whatever, man, I'm gonna go eat. That is hysterical. The second that I go to... Like, literally, I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes. Nothing fucking happened. Fuck that! Nope. Nope.
After that first video went up, a lot of his followers urged him to crack open the cellar door and look for a rational explanation behind the noises. So in his next post, that's exactly what Eric does. And what unfolded when he finally opened it up is something else entirely.
I swear to Christ, that sound was just here. I just got back from set. I've been hearing that sound. Someone's fucking with me. There's someone fucking down there. Hello?
Following this experience, he wasted no time finding somewhere else to sleep. A large portion of his audience is convinced the property was legitimately haunted. Others aren't so sure. Their theory is that someone may have actually been concealed inside that house the whole time. Either way, Eric clearly had no interest in sticking around to get to the bottom of it. So, where do you stand on this one? Was something supernatural going on in that house? Or is there a far more down-to-earth reason for everything that happened? The following video was recorded inside a home late at night, with a static camera positioned at a high angle looking down at a dark floor. The kind of shot someone sets up when they've already seen something they can't explain and want proof the next time it happens. No one is visible in the frame, just a small white toy vehicle sitting quietly in the center of the shot. A dim room with that washed-out, gray quality you get from a camera struggling in near total darkness. For a few seconds, everything is still. Then a high-pitched wailing sound begins, drawn out, distorted, unlike anything you'd expect to hear in a quiet house at night. Watch. If you look closely, a pale shape appears in the darkness. At first, it looks almost like a human leg extending, but the footage is too unclear to determine exactly what we're seeing. It appears briefly enough to make you question whether it's actually part of a person, an object sitting close to the camera, or something else entirely. But then there's a second recording. This one comes from a different camera positioned near a window overlooking the yard outside the same home. Watch. Something appears to walk across the yard. The figure is difficult to identify, but its movement is unmistakable enough to catch a viewer's attention, particularly when paired with what was captured inside moments earlier. Skeptics could argue that the pale shape is simply an object or part of someone moving close to the camera, while the figure outside could easily be a person or an animal crossing the property. The strange wailing could also have an ordinary source, especially since nighttime can make animal calls sound remarkably human. Paranormal viewers, however, see the two clips as potentially connected. In paranormal folklore, an unexplained humanoid shape appearing briefly on camera is sometimes interpreted as a shadow figure or apparition, while strange cries or wails are occasionally described as manifestations associated with a supposed presence. There is no way to establish that from this footage alone, but the timing is what makes the clips unsettling. Inside the house, something pale and almost human-shaped appears alongside an unexplained wail. Then outside, something seems to walk across the yard. And if those two moments really are connected, the question becomes even stranger. Was whatever appeared inside simply passing through, or was something outside watching the house at the same time? In this next clip, a man is filmed from an in-car dashcam as he drives through a Japanese city at night, alone, or so he appears to believe. He's dressed in a suit and tie, navigating the streets with his complete attention on the road, completely unaware of what the camera is quietly recording behind him. The car, identifiable by the white lace headrest covers typical of Japanese taxis, looks ordinary in every way. Nothing about the driver's posture suggests alarm. Nothing about the scene, at first glance, suggests anything is wrong. Watch. Slowly, barely visible at first, a dark figure fades into existence in the back seat directly behind him. A woman with long dark hair, semi-transparent, sitting completely motionless while the driver continues on without any reaction at all. As the footage replays and the camera begins to zoom in, her features become more defined. Pale skin, dark hollow eyes, a tilted head, and an expression that's difficult to describe as anything other than vacant. That face is unsettling in a way that's hard to shake. In Japanese folklore, this figure fits the description of a yuri, a spirit rooted in both Shinto and Buddhist belief, often depicted as a woman with long black hair and pale features said to return from death when held back by intense emotion. Onryo, the most feared subcategory, are specifically associated with unresolved grief or rage. Skeptics would argue the entire clip looks heavily produced. But if you find yourself studying that final close-up, searching her face for something that explains it away, you'll understand why so many people didn't. Now, in this next clip, a man is walking through his apartment with his phone, trying to document what he says has been happening to him for some time. Unexplained movement, physical sensations he describes as pinpricks on his skin, and a persistent feeling that something in the spiritual realm is actively working against him. He's visibly exhausted, speaking rapidly, insisting he has witnesses and has been documenting everything. He says he's not crazy. The apartment itself doesn't help ease that tension. Every room is packed with bags, clothes, opads, boxes, and objects stacked in ways that make the space feel almost suffocating, the kind of environment that raises questions on its own. But he keeps filming, walking from the living room to the bedroom to the kitchen to a bathroom lit in blue and purple LED light, building what feels like a case. Then, as he enters the cluttered bedroom, something interrupts him. Listen closely.
And that's a problem, because I'm here alone. I'm alone. Oh my God. I swear it was this door. I can hear a voice. I'm gonna go outside and see if anybody's there. I have chills. Oh, wait. Just so you can see. I'm by myself. Kitchen. I'm alone. This is the bathroom. I did this in the last video, but I'm doing it again. I'm alone. Look. I'm alone. I'm alone. This right here is a closet. Closet. Oh my goodness. My mother's bedroom. It's a mess because we're going through all her stuff. I'm alone. My heart is pounding. I'm gonna go outside and see if I see anybody because I just heard that voice clear as day.
A soft, breathy voice, distinctly female sounding, whispers a single word: no. He catches it immediately, stopping mid-sentence to say, "You hear that? I'm not crazy." And that reaction is hard to dismiss. In paranormal investigation, a disembodied voice captured on a recording device is often referred to as an EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, audio that has no clear physical source but registers on the recording. Skeptics would point to the cluttered, chaotic environment and the man's clearly distressed mental state as context that complicates the footage. But the whisper is there regardless of how you feel about everything surrounding it. What do you think that voice was? The following clip was captured by two explorers who went to an abandoned building long rumored to house a violent demon. Locals say anyone who dares step inside risks scratches across their body, sudden nosebleeds, or being shoved by an unseen force. Some even claim the entity had slammed people into walls or hurled objects across the room with inhuman force. Yet, of all hours to go there, these explorers chose the middle of the night. And here's what happened.
La madre, amigo, tiene mucha fuerza eso. Uy.
No manches. ¿Hay alguien ahí? No manches, ¿cómo se quedó? Amigos, ahí está alguien en la puerta. Ay, no manches, está alguien en la puerta, amigos. No sé si lo vieron. Estaba alguien en la puerta. Uy. Hola. No. Cálmate. Tú puedes.
There was no one near the furniture, and with the way things were breaking and moving, it was clear they were not welcome. Luckily, they left unharmed, but many believe it was only because one of them was wearing a small silver cross, a symbol said to ward off demonic entities. For centuries, it's been believed that holy symbols, especially when blessed, act as a barrier, burning or repelling darker forces that try to attach themselves to the living. But the next place they visited was way worse. This time, they stepped into a cemetery notorious for terrifying stories. Tales of ghostly figures wandering between the graves, disembodied voices calling people by name, and even rumors of shadows that follow visitors all the way home. At first, the place was completely quiet until this happened.
Se siente bien raro aquí. Oye, madre. Se movió la cruz, amigo, se acaba de mover la cruz. ¿Alguien está aquí conmigo? Ven, manifiéstate, queremos verte. Mira, se cayó. Uy, no manchen. ¿Alguien está aquí conmigo? ¿Alguien está aquí conmigo? Sí. ¿Alguien está aquí? Se mueve eso. Se mueve eso, amigos. Se está moviendo eso. Se los juro que está moviendo. Y bien. Se está moviendo, amigos, se está moviendo. Se los juro que se movió.
With the way things were moving, something or someone was definitely there. But the question is, who was there? A ghost, someone playing a prank, or something far darker? I'll leave that for you to decide. This next clip was recorded inside a young girl's bedroom by what appears to be a static baby monitor camera, and according to her mother, what's been happening in that room at night has been going on for years. She says her 6-year-old daughter kept waking up screaming, and for a long time the mother chalked it up to night terrors. But then the girl started telling her something more specific. She said a man comes into her room and wakes her up. That alone would be enough to make most parents lose sleep. But on one particular night, the camera caught something that changed the way her mother saw all of it. Listen closely.
And this was a video from a couple of months ago where she was just in bed on her tablet and then she started looking at her doll's house and then this happened. And then obviously we came into her and then she started like dozing off. So no idea. She gets spooked around bugs. It could be she saw a bug. I have no idea. Let me know what you guys think.
What
please.
Makes the moment unsettling is the timing. The sound doesn't simply happen while she's asleep. It appears to happen at almost exactly the moment she wakes up. And if her mother's account is accurate, this wasn't an isolated night. Then there's another recording from a different night. The girl is sitting on her bed, calmly looking down at her tablet when her entire upper body suddenly jerks backward. It's not a small flinch. She recoils sharply, as though something has moved toward her from directly in front of her, and her attention appears to be fixed on one particular place in the room, her dollhouse. For paranormal viewers, that detail immediately changes the interpretation of the footage. Dolls and dollhouses have long been associated with supernatural folklore because they're human-like objects that can appear almost alive despite remaining completely still. Some paranormal traditions claim that objects associated with children can become focal points for unexplained activity, particularly when a child repeatedly reports seeing or interacting with something adults cannot perceive. But the part that keeps viewers watching is the pattern her mother describes. Years of nighttime disturbances, repeated claims about a man entering the room, the unexplained laugh, and then the sudden reaction toward the dollhouse. If the little girl really was reacting to something she believed was standing there, the question isn't just what she saw, it's why she kept seeing it. This next video was recorded inside a cemetery office during the day, which, if you think about it, might be one of the stranger places to catch something on camera. The man filming had already seen something that spooked him before he ever started recording, a dark shape that passed in front of a framed picture on the wall, blocking the reflection from the window for just a moment. He says it was clear as day, so he starts walking in the space, checking closets, confirming they're empty, trying to find any rational explanation for what he saw. The room is quiet, ordinary, dark wood floors, a small waiting area, floral curtains letting in afternoon light. Nothing unusual. He finds a locked door at the back and lets himself through into an attached garage cluttered with a tractor, lawnmowers, pallets, and tools. He moves deeper into the workshop, panning around, asking the darkness directly, "Did you come in here?" Watch.
I am here in the cemetery office. And the dark, something dark went in front of this frame over here. And it looked like it was behind, which there's nothing there besides a closet, but there's nothing there. And nothing there. It was clear as day. It blocked out the light from the window and the reflection. There's nowhere else for anybody to go. This is locked. Did you come in here? Come back this way. Are you on the ladder?
What happens next is hard to brush off. A thin chain hanging from the wooden ceiling starts shaking on its own, with no wind, no movement nearby, no explanation the man can point to. Then a loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera, sudden and heavy, like something large being struck or dropped, and he reacts immediately, clearly startled. He scans the workshop, focuses on a wooden ladder leading up to an opening overhead, and asks out loud whether something is on it. The space goes still. Then, a second bang. Sharper, harder, with a metallic quality to it, hits from the left side of the frame and the camera jerks in reaction. It's not subtle. Two separate sounds, neither explained, in a locked and cluttered space attached to a building where the dead are processed and received every single day. Some believe locations like this absorb residual energy. That grief over enough time leaves something behind that doesn't always stay quiet. Others think it's something more intentional, something that knew it was being watched. So what do you think was making those sounds? The following clip was recorded by a group of explorers who decided to enter an abandoned building surrounded by disturbing rumors. Locals claim that people go in and come out completely shaken, some reporting sudden dizziness, intense pressure in their chest, difficulty breathing, and an overwhelming feeling that they weren't welcome there. Others say electronics malfunction, footsteps echo through empty hallways, and objects seem to move on their own. The explorers went in hoping to communicate with whatever might be causing these experiences, but instead of answers, they encountered something that seemed to confirm every story they'd heard. Watch this.
Görüntü gidiyor, var bir şey. Var bir şey var. Görüntü gidiyor. Biliyorum bir şey var orada. Kafamıza gelecekti Allah aşkına. Dokundu.
At one point, an axe suddenly fell, narrowly missing them. They were incredibly lucky it didn't land on anyone. Incidents like this raise unsettling questions about the kind of presence that could exist in places like this. Some theories suggest these spirits lash out when they feel threatened, disturbed, or when their space is invaded, especially in places tied to trauma, violence, or abandonment. Whatever was inside that building didn't seem interested in communicating. It seemed angry, and that makes this encounter far more dangerous than a typical paranormal investigation. Now, in this next clip, a family has been hearing strange noises coming from their basement. At first, they didn't think much of it since the sounds were faint, irregular, and easy to dismiss, the kind of thing you blame on the house settling or your imagination filling in the gaps. But over the next few weeks, everything changed. The noises started happening more often, they grew louder, and eventually impossible to ignore. Then, one night, while the family was asleep, a sudden, heavy noise from the basement jolted them awake. Instead of staying put, the husband decided to move closer to investigate, and that decision alone sent chills through viewers. Watch closely.
Hello? Oh my god!
After the footage surfaced, opinions were split. Some viewers insist it has to be an animal, something trapped or moving around below. But others aren't convinced. They point out that the footsteps sound human. So if it isn't an animal and it isn't just the house settling, then whatever made that noise was already inside the home, waiting in the darkest part of it. But I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. On the 14th of February, 2014, a man walks into a shop like any other day. Nothing about the moment seems unusual, but what no one inside the store realizes is that something else was inside the shop. Watch closely.
Look right here. Look right here. Right here. Look. Look, watch. What is that? What is that? And it's just gone, bruh. Look at this. It's there, and now it's not. It's there, and now it's not, bruh. What is that?
Bruh. What is that? What is that? And then it's just gone.
The strange figure appears and disappears in a blink, so fast that the man didn't even sense that something was there. If it wasn't for the security camera, this moment would have passed unnoticed forever. Incidents like this raise an unsettling thought. How many things move through our world without us ever knowing? How many figures slip in and out of reality just beyond our perception? Too quick, too subtle, or too unexpected for the human mind to register. And even when footage like this does surface, many people still refuse to believe it. Some call it a glitch, others say it's a shadow, a reflection, or a trick of the camera. So what do you think? Was this an anomaly or a rare glimpse into something that's always around us, quietly passing through, unseen? In this next video, a woman captured a terrifying figure inside her own home. According to her, it's late at night, and she's replaying voice messages on her phone when an overwhelming feeling hits her, the unmistakable sense that someone is staring at her, not just a thought, not imagination, that deep instinctive awareness you get when eyes are fixed on you. Trusting that feeling, she lifts her phone toward the doorway. This is what she captures. A dark figure appears, peeking from behind the door, its shape just clear enough to suggest a face watching her. What makes this even more unsettling is that this wasn't the first warning sign. Before this moment, she says she'd been experiencing subtle things around the house. Doors left slightly open when she was sure she closed them, the sound of quiet movement at night, and that recurring sensation of being watched when no one else was home. Small things she brushed off at first. Until this. Many people say humans are wired to sense when they're being observed, even without seeing it. And moments like this make you wonder how often that instinct is right. Until she shares more updates, whatever was standing in that doorway and why it was watching her remains completely unsolved. Now, in this next clip, a couple shares footage from what was supposed to be a simple cave exploration somewhere in the UK. Nothing paranormal, no ghost hunting, just curiosity and a camera rolling. But like many explorers later admit, the strangest moments aren't always noticed in real time. They're discovered after, while reviewing the footage. Watch and listen closely.
I don't blame them. Imagine how many people you can fit in here.
Because you go in here, look.
How am I going to fit through there? What? Seen all the spiders?
Yeah, have you seen them?
During the exploration, his partner becomes overwhelmed by spiders and quickly exits the cave, clearly shaken. He laughs it off at first, still filming, thinking the danger is gone, but seconds later, his mood changes. He suddenly freezes, then jumps back, reacting to the feeling that something is moving toward him from deeper inside the cave. At the time, he didn't hear anything clearly. It's only after rewatching the footage that they notice the sound at the very end of the video. Some viewers suggest it could have been an animal, even comparing it to a bear-like snarl, possibly disturbed by their presence. But others point out that caves are isolated, ancient, largely untouched, and act as natural amplifiers for phenomena we don't fully understand. In this next video, a family is together, laughing, catching up, and enjoying a quiet moment until something happens. Watch closely. Out of nowhere, the table shifts and the reaction is instant. Everyone runs. Some viewers believe this could be a prank, suggesting someone nearby might have been under the table or pulled the table. But according to locals, this area already has a reputation. Families in the vicinity have complained for years about objects moving on their own, furniture shifting slightly when no one is touching it, and sudden disturbances that happen without warning. That's what makes this moment harder to brush off. When objects move in shared spaces like this, especially during calm moments, many believe it's often the first sign something is trying to make itself known. Whether this was human interference or something far more unsettling, one thing is clear. The moment whatever happened made itself known, no one wanted to stay around long enough to find out what caused it. So what do you think happened here? Speaking of objects moving, the family in this next clip has been struggling with something they can't seem to explain. They'll leave items in one place, chairs pushed under the table, doors fully shut, small objects carefully set down, only to come back later and find everything shifted, rearranged, or completely out of place. At first, they brushed it off as forgetfulness, thinking maybe someone else moved it, or they just remembered wrong, but the patterns kept repeating. Eventually, they decided to document everything. What you're about to see is a compilation of the activity they managed to catch on camera. Watch closely.
Bruno! ¡Bruno! Se movió la silla. ¿Real? Sí. Tipo, es de arquitecta. De las flores.
To some viewers, this points to something trying to interact with the physical space, poltergeist-like behavior that focuses more on movement than appearances. Others believe it could be something residual, replaying energy over and over in the same areas of the house. They've been advised to send the footage to a priest, but until that happens, speculation continues. But what do you think? Is something attached to the house, or something dangerous followed them home? I'd love to know what you think about this kind of activity. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the historic Mabel Tainter Memorial Theater. This time, he heads back up to the top floor, returning to the main theater area to quietly film and listen for anything out of place. Watch closely.
It's like there's somebody up there. What the hell was that?
Oh my god, guys, it literally sounds like she's coming down these stairs. I smell perfume. What the heck? I smell perfume. And it's starting to feel colder in here too. Ma'am, you don't have to be shy. Feel free to come down and talk to me. Madam, what's your name? Oh my god! I heard that! That was a lady's voice! Thank you, Bam. I heard you loud and clear.
As Ian stands alone in the creepy space, he suddenly notices a strong perfume smell beginning to fill the air. What's unsettling is that the scent doesn't fade. It grows stronger, almost as if someone is moving closer to him. Paranormal investigators often associate sudden smells, especially perfume, with spirit presence, particularly when there's no logical source nearby. Moments later, this happened.
Here. Hello? Oh, holy shit! Oh my god! Dude! I just fucking saw her right there! It looked like a woman in a dress. She walked into the hallway. I gotta follow her. She went down this way. Oh my god. Every hair on my body is standing on end. Where'd you go? I saw you go this way. I feel like I heard her say Mabel. It sounded like an M. Now that I think about it, that voice from earlier, it sounded like Mabel. I'm smelling that perfume smell again. Holy shit! Holy shit! No freaking way! Look at that! That thing just came undone!
This is where things take an even stranger turn. Ian believes he may have caught sight of a figure, possibly the infamous woman in white, briefly peeking out from behind the curtain. The combination of the intensifying perfume and the movement near the stage is enough to raise serious questions about what or who might still be lingering inside the theater. So what do you think? Lingering energy, a known spirit, or something else entirely? For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was shared by a woman who's genuinely searching for answers, hoping that someone out there might recognize the signs of what she's dealing with. For a while now, she's noticed a very specific and unsettling pattern involving her dog. Almost every single day, around the same time, her 6-month-old puppy suddenly starts barking intensely at one exact direction in the house. Not just casual barking, but focused, alert, almost defensive barking. What makes this strange is that about 5 minutes later, he suddenly stops, goes completely quiet, and then immediately looks around for her as if checking whether she noticed it too. This routine has repeated itself night after night, always the same direction, always the same behavior. One evening, she was sitting calmly when her dog climbed onto her lap, chewing on a bone, relaxed and content. Suddenly, this happened. Some believe he could be reacting to subtle sounds we can't hear, like changes in air pressure, pipes, or even wildlife outside the walls. But others weren't convinced, especially because of how consistent the timing is and how focused his attention seems to be. As for solutions, viewers offered a wide range of ideas. Some advise checking the space thoroughly for logical explanations, vents, rodents, or structural noises, just to rule them out. A few suggested cleansing the space, whether spiritually or simply by changing the energy in the room, while many stressed one thing above all else: pay attention to the dog. Because whatever he's reacting to it every night, at the same time, in the same place. And until she figures out why, this situation remains deeply unsettling and very much unexplained. This next clip was recorded inside Selma Mansion in Norristown, Pennsylvania, a location that many locals already avoid after dark. The mansion has long been surrounded by rumors, stories of former residents who never really left, reports of unexplained footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors slamming on their own, and voices heard coming from rooms no one has entered in years. Some say the upper floors are the worst, especially the third floor, where people claim the air suddenly feels heavier and breathing becomes difficult for no reason. On March 29, 2025, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the mansion for themselves. Despite knowing its reputation, they went in prepared, setting up multiple cameras throughout the house before settling in for the night. While placing equipment in other areas of the mansion, a loud bang suddenly echoed through the building, sharp enough to stop everyone in their tracks. When they checked the footage, they realized the sound came from the bathroom on the third floor, where one of the cameras had been left running. Watch closely. Skeptics argued it could be old pipes, structural shifts, or even wind, but that explanation doesn't easily account for the voice, the pacing of the footsteps, or the very human-sounding breath caught on audio. And considering this happened on the third floor, an area already known for activity, many believe the explorers may have wandered into a space where whatever lingers there doesn't like being watched. So, was this just the mansion settling? Or did Selma Mansion make it very clear that they weren't alone that night? You decide. In this next video, a man believes he's being tormented by something far more sinister than a simple haunting, something he's convinced is a demon living inside his home. And honestly, after seeing everything he's documented, it's hard not to understand why he feels that way. For months now, he says he'll leave the house for work or errands, only to return and find it completely trashed. Tables flipped upside down, chairs thrown across rooms, kitchen equipment scattered across the floor as if someone deliberately went through the house in a rage. One night, while recording a video to explain what he's been experiencing, things suddenly escalated. Watch this.
Guys, so it's been very horrible. I have been experiencing some non-stop shit. You gotta be kidding me. What the shit? What the is that sound? What the I know they not just move. I know that they not just move, y'all. Shit! Oh shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon to leave my house immediately. Immediately. I want every demon to leave this house immediately. Immediately. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Leave my house now. The was that? I swear to God, and guys, this is crazy. Swear to God. What the shit! Holy shit! Oh shit! Holy shit! Holy I'm getting the out of here. Oh shit!
This isn't subtle movement or quiet noises in the background. When something moves, it moves hard. If it rocks a chair, it does so violently. If it rattles a door, it slams and shakes it with force. Viewers quickly began weighing in with their theories. Some believe this could be a case of a highly aggressive poltergeist feeding off fear and emotional stress. Others argue that the destructive nature, the escalation, and the way the activity responds directly to him speaking points to something darker, possibly a demonic attachment rather than a spirit tied to the house itself. As for solutions, people urged him to stop engaging altogether, to avoid provoking whatever it is. Some warned that labeling it a demon could make things worse, but others believe he may already be past that point. So what do you think? Is this truly a demon? Or is there another explanation behind the violence in his home? Now, doll collectors are often misunderstood. To most people, collecting dolls sounds harmless, nostalgic, even comforting. But what many don't realize is that some collectors actively seek out dolls with history. Dolls that were loved intensely, abandoned suddenly, passed through multiple owners, or tied to trauma. In this clip, a woman who openly documents her collection of dolls with deep and unsettling backstories shares what happened after acquiring a particularly infamous one. The doll is known as Raggedy Ann Janet, located in the UK and already surrounded by disturbing rumors long before she ever laid eyes on it. Previous owners had reportedly complained about unexplained noises, object shifting, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched, especially at night. Despite the warnings, she felt drawn to Janet and eventually brought the doll into her home. Almost immediately, she began noticing classic poltergeist-style activity. Objects would move without explanation. Doors creaked open on their own, and the most unsettling part, these events didn't feel random. They felt deliberate, as if something was testing boundaries, pushing limits, and making its presence known. Despite knowing all these, she wanted to confirm.
So Janet's been with us for a few days. Bobby's dropped her off. A few things have been moving around this room lately. Janet, is it you that's doing it? Oh my god, thank you.
For her, the signs were enough. Janet wasn't just another piece in her collection. Something about this doll felt active, aware, and intrusive. And now the question remains, is Janet simply an object carrying residual energy from past owners? Or did bringing her home invite something that was never meant to follow? Either way, the activity surrounding this doll has left viewers deeply unsettled. And until more updates are shared, this case continues to raise an uncomfortable question about how much of the past we unknowingly invite into our homes. This next video is an update from the same man who previously shared how everything in his apartment changed the moment he brought a set of old toys home. Watch closely.
Se sigue escuchando, la verdad ya no soporto estar aquí. Ya no aguanto. ¿Qué será? No hay nada, raza. Esto ya se está saliendo de control, raza. Ya no puedo estar aquí, raza.
As he moves through the apartment trying to locate the source of the noise, a figure is briefly caught on camera. Even though something in him feels like the toys are connected, he wants clearer proof, something undeniable. But viewers say the signs have been there all along. For example, take a look at one of the nights he couldn't sleep at all.
Raza, son las 3 de la mañana, se siguen escuchando muchos ruidos allá afuera. Quieren abrir la puerta, Raza. ¿Qué está pasando? Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío, líbrame del mal. Desde que compré ese espejo, Raza. Ay.
What worries him the most is that whatever's in his apartment doesn't seem anchored to a single location. It chooses different areas, almost like it's rotating spots. One night, it was his bedroom. Watch.
Se escucha que están rasguñando abajo de la cama. No hay nadie, Raza, a la madre. ¿Qué rollo? ¿Qué está pasando?
Something was scratching under his bed, and while some suggested the mirror near his bed could be acting as a trigger, that theory started to fall apart after this next clip surfaced.
Quieren prender la luz, Raza. Esto está saliendo de control, Raza. No se escucha que le pegan al tanque allá afuera. Esto se está saliendo mucho de control, Raza. No sé qué está pasando, la verdad, Raza. Pero ese tanque le pegan. Ya es el segundo día desde que están pasando estas cosas y alguien que me pueda ayudar, déjenme en los comentarios, por favor. Gente, esto ya se salió de control, gente. Ya no puedo más aquí, gente. Ayuda. ¿Qué quieres? Déjenme en paz. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué quieres?
At this point, the activity is no longer subtle. The voice he hears at night is clearer and deeply unsettling. He's reached the point where he locks himself in one part of the apartment at night, afraid of what he might encounter if he walks into another room. And what makes this even more disturbing is the pattern. Whatever's in the apartment seems to choose where it stays. For days, it stayed in the kitchen, then it shifted to the laundry room. Now, it appears to have claimed the bathroom.
Están tocando la puerta del baño. Desde que compré este espejo están pasando todas las cosas. Mamá.
He's asking for help, desperately, but most viewers are saying the answer is already right in front of him. Get rid of the dolls. But is it really that simple? Are the dolls the source? Or are they just vessels for something that was already looking for a way in? In this next clip, a woman named Haley set out on what was supposed to be a calm, grounding escape into the Appalachian wilderness, a place known for its beauty, isolation, and deeply rooted folklore. But not long into her walk, something felt off.
I just realized this is like the perfect place to come and sit and smoke. Cause look at this. Sit right here. Hell yeah. It's my view. Y'all, a cigarette right now. I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm cold. I felt like there's somebody behind me, but cool. So this is as close as I'm going to get, but y'all can see it's like angled and it goes into the mountain. It doesn't look like it, but it's a little bit more deeper here. My feet would get wet, and these shoes, yeah, no, and it's cold. But yeah, I'm about to head out of here because my feelings been I don't know, it don't feel right now. But yeah, I don't have service. No, this is the worst part about exploring here is when you get like that when you get the feeling that you're being watched or followed. You can't, it's a little bit of a ways to get back to where you came from. Over there.
If you listen carefully, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Hey." What makes this moment especially unsettling is that the voice sounds disturbingly similar to Hallie's own. At the time she was recording, she didn't hear it at all. Instead, what she felt was something harder to ignore, a sudden sensation that someone was standing directly behind her. In paranormal folklore, especially in Appalachian legends, encounters like this are often linked to something known as a mimic, entities said to imitate human voices to lure people into responding. That's why many believe the worst thing you can do in situations like this is acknowledge the voice, especially out loud. Responding is believed to give whatever's their permission, or at the very least confirmation that you heard it. Some say mimics rely on familiarity, using your own voice or the voice of someone you trust to lower your guard. Others believe they test boundaries first, watching how you react before escalating, and then there are those who think these encounters aren't meant to chase you, but to mark you. So, was this just an audio coincidence paired with anxiety in an isolated place? Or did Hallie narrowly avoid something far more disturbing by trusting her instincts and leaving when she did? I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. In the following clip, a group of Spanish-speaking witnesses document a restless night that keeps escalating in ways that are difficult to dismiss. The first comes from a man who got up to use the bathroom just before midnight and noticed something strange at the far end of his dimly lit hallway. A long corridor with a worn checkerboard floor, a refrigerator to one side, and a darkened living area beyond. He says he was completely alone downstairs, and that thought clearly stayed with him as he stood in the doorway, phone in hand, listening. Watch.
Ya había cortado el video, pero escuchen. ¿Hola? Están escuchando, ¿no? ¿Escucharon? Yo me levanté de mis necesidades. Vamos a ver. Me llevo este filtro, se ve chido. Che fantasmita, se ve medio macabrón, Vamos a ver aquí en el baño, Consul. No, creo que no se ve nada, ¿verdad? A ver, espérame, lo cambio. No se ve nada. No se ve nada, raza. Mejor me voy para acá. Si ustedes captaron algo, racita, pues por ahí. Déjenlo en los comentarios, ¿va? Ahí nos vemos. A ver, aguanten. Si vieron algo, déjenlo en los comentarios, raza.
What you hear in that footage is what makes it unsettling. a sequence of faint rhythmic tapping, then a light scraping or shuffling from somewhere deep in the hallway, and finally a loud series of metallic clinking and rattling that lasts nearly 20 seconds with no visible source. Some viewers familiar with cases like this point to a concept sometimes called residual haunting, the idea that a space can hold onto patterns of movement or sound and replay them involuntarily, like an echo that hasn't figured out it has nowhere left to go. Skeptics would say old houses make noise, especially at night when everything else goes quiet, but the scraping and the rattling are two very different kinds of sounds, and they happen in sequence, which is harder to attribute to settling walls or a drafty hallway. He asks his viewers in the comments if they caught anything he might have missed. The second clip comes from the same man, also awake deep into the night. Almost 4 a.m., he says, lying in bed when his gaming chair suddenly lit up on its own. Take a look.
¿Qué tal, jinetes? Buenas noches. No puedo dormir, me siento un poco mal. Estamos aquí descansando. Perdón, hija, ya le desperté. Se acaba de prender mi silla. Solita. No hay manera de que eso pase, porque se prende con control. Pues todo está apagado, obviamente. La computadora está apagada. Esto siempre está así, que es como la tarjeta madre y está prendida siempre. Pero la silla se acaba de prender solita. Así nomás de bueno. Neta, de la nada. Se prendió así sola. Como ven, raza. Ven que el otro día dicen ustedes que se movió. Que cuando me levanté yo, se movió la silla. Bueno, pues ahorita se acaba de prender. Son casi las 4 de la mañana. Ahí está. Y repito, no hay manera de que eso haya pasado porque se prende con control. Y de hecho, pues el control está allá, acá, en esa cajita. Ahí está el control. Y mira, ahí se prendió solita. De hecho, les voy a mostrar para que no digan que yo lo tengo acá. No voy a hacer ningún corte. Nada más me voy a levantar. Y de hecho, lo voy a apagar aquí. Aquí está el control. Es este. No, es este. Chequen. ¿Ya ven? Así es como se prende. Y el control, ustedes vieron, lo acabo de sacar acá. Este sí yo lo dejé así, el micrófono. Yo lo voy a apagar igual. Pero la silla estaba apagada así. Y de la nada se prendió. ¿Qué opinan ustedes? ¿Falla técnica? ¿O alguien se quiso comunicar? Los leo en comentarios.
He gets up calmly to demonstrate something important. The chair runs entirely on a remote control, and the remote was sitting on his desk across the room the whole time. He cycles through the colors to show it works, then turns it off and sets it back down. Some would argue a power fluctuation or an electrical fault could trigger LED strips under the right conditions, and that's a reasonable explanation. Others think electronics activating on their own in the middle of the night, especially in a quiet house when someone can't sleep, fits a pattern that investigators call intelligent response, where something in the environment reacts to the presence of a conscious person. But before you pick a side, if you look closely, a shadow figure passes through the chair, and to some people, that's a connection to the chair moving. But that's not all they've had to deal with. Another night, the couples are lying in bed, both listening to something terrifying. Listen closely. In Mexican and Latin American folklore, agitated animals near a home at night have long been associated with the presence of La Llorona, the weeping woman of legend, said to wander near darkened places searching for her lost children. Her approach sometimes heralded by restless animals before anything visible appears. Whether that connection feels meaningful or like pattern matching is up to you, but the sequence, dogs going frantic, then something striking the glass from outside, is exactly the kind of buildup that gets under your skin. In the next clip, the man replays footage from a previous night he spent in a cemetery and explicitly names what he believes he encountered there. Watch closely.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Aguanten, 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 aguanten. ¿Pasó algo? Hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. Aguanten, 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 aguanten. ¿Pasó algo? Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Aguanten, 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 aguanten. Déjame saber tu opinión en comentarios. No olvides regalarnos tu like, síguenos y comparte.
Between two brightly lit mausoleums, a tall, slender, dark humanoid figure moves quickly from left to right, appearing from behind one structure and vanishing behind the other in less than a second. The narrator calls it La Llorona outright, describing her in the original cemetery clip's audio as something both seen and heard that night. In the traditional legend, La Llorona is a tragic figure from Mexican folklore, a woman said to have drowned her own children and been condemned to wander eternally in grief, haunting riversides and dark places, her weeping heard before she's ever seen. Whether the figure in that footage is a person who happened to be walking through a cemetery at night, a shadow cast by the mausoleum lighting, or something that belongs to that older story remains a mystery. Now, in this next clip, a man films himself moving through his home at nearly 2 in the morning after being woken by something he can't immediately explain. He's already holding his phone when it starts. Loud, aggressive knocking at the front door, 5 rapid strikes, then 7, then 3 more in a row, each series harder than the last. Watch.
Son casi las 2 de la mañana. 1:52. Escucharon, me están tocando la puerta. ¿Qué? Voy a cambiar la cámara para grabar. No hay nada. A la verga. ¿Quién es? ¿Quién está ahí? Voy a llamar a la policía. mames, no hay nadie. No hay nadie, güey. A la verga. Hay una bruja atrás de mí. Oh, no mames. Ya me voy a la verga.
He opens the front door, scans the porch, pans left and right, and finds absolutely no one there. The yard is empty. Whatever was knocking, it wasn't waiting around to be seen. He moves back through the house, catches his own reflection in a mirror, and visibly recoils. Then, the piano in the living room plays a single loud, discordant chord on its own, and when he turns toward it, the brass doorknob on the closet beside it starts rattling violently, shaking like something inside is trying to force it open. He opens it, just cleaning supplies. Then, a child's ride-on toy car rolls out from a dark doorway and stops in the middle of the hallway entirely on its own. He keeps filming. He walks into the kitchen, and the doorknob on the door leading to the garage begins rattling just like the first one did. He opens it and steps inside. What builds across this footage is exactly the kind of escalating pattern that makes cases like this harder to dismiss. Multiple phenomena, different rooms, different types of disturbances, none of them repeating the same trick twice. But it's what happens in that garage that seals it, because if you listen closely, you can hear it. A clear, sharp, disembodied male whisper saying, "Vait," which translates directly to "go away" or "leave." Some think the whisper changes the nature of what's happening entirely, because poltergeists aren't typically understood to speak, and a presence that issues a verbal warning carries a very different kind of intent. Skeptics argue the variety of events across one clip stretches credibility, suggesting a staged production, but his reactions track consistently from unease to outright terror, and he never stops filming. Whatever was in that garage with him, it didn't just want to be noticed, it wanted him out. So the real question isn't whether something was there, it's why it was so eager for him to leave. In this next clip, a lady films from underneath her covers in a dimly lit bedroom. The camera shaky, the room quiet except for something she can't explain. She claims she's been awake for 3 days straight, and if you listen to what's been filling the silence during that time, it's hard not to understand why. Watch. A dark figure briefly appears. It has a pale face and a dark silhouette, standing still just long enough to be noticed before slipping out of view again. At first, she figured it could be a hallucination caused by extreme sleep deprivation, which is known to trigger vivid visual distortions, especially in low-light environments. But after this video, she's starting to think otherwise. In folklore, this type of presence is often associated with so-called night watchers, entities described in various traditions as figures that appear during the deepest hours of the night, when a person is most vulnerable. In other legends, similar figures are tied to the idea of threshold spirits, said to linger near beds, doorways, and corners of rooms, places where visibility is weakest and attention slips first. Right now, the only question she's asking is how to get rid of it. So, what do you think? The following clips come from two separate homes, but they share the same unsettling pattern. Something moving through a space that no one can see, making itself known in ways that are hard to dismiss. The first was recorded by a home security camera on the night of April 16th of 2023, just after 11 p.m. The room is empty, lit only by the infrared glow of the camera's night vision, and at first it looks like any ordinary living room. A kitchen island, a couple of stools, a small cat sitting calmly on the floor. Nothing seems wrong. Watch. The stool slowly slides away from the island on its own. Then, a few seconds later, the jacket draped over it drops straight to the floor with no one near it. Those two events alone would be enough to unsettle most people. But then, from the far right doorway, a tall, semi-transparent shadow figure emerges and begins walking slowly and deliberately through the room. Some viewers think this is a classic residual haunting, energy replaying itself through a space, unaware of anyone watching. Others believe it's something more interactive, something that moved the stool and dropped the jacket before revealing itself, almost like a sequence. Shadow figures with that kind of humanoid form and deliberate movement are sometimes referred to as shadow people, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark entities that appear solid enough to perceive but transparent enough to pass through physical space. The cat's casual, unbothered exit from the room is the detail that stays with you. Animals are often said to sense presence before humans do, and yet it simply walked away. The second clip is a very different kind of encounter, louder, more immediate, and personal. The man is inside his house at night when he and his partner in the other room both hear a knocking sound that seems to be coming from beneath the floor. He grabs his phone and heads outside into the rain to check. Listen closely.
Heard it too, right? I'll be right back. What the? It's raining over here. We just heard this knocking sounding. It sounded like it was coming from underneath the floor. God, why does this keep happening? It was really, really freaking loud.
As he touches the wooden crawlspace panel on the side of the house, 4 sharp, rhythmic knocks ring out from the other side of it. When he opens the panel and aims the camera down the long, dark crawlspace, the knocking comes back. Then, without warning, a single enormous bang erupts, sending him backward in shock. What makes this harder to explain is that the crawlspace is visibly empty. Nothing's in there. And yet the knocking returned clear and deliberate right as the clip ended, as if whatever was inside knew it was being watched. So what exactly responds to being touched from the outside? And how does he stop all these from happening?